Oh, in Goldenstown churchyard there is a green grave, and wildly around it the wintry winds rain. Small shells the right wheel are the ruin walls there, when the storm sweeps over the plains of Kildare. Once I lay on that sod it lies over Wootone, and thought that we perished in prison alone. His friends are revenge and his country unfreed, oh bitter I cried is the patriot's meed. How in him the heart of a woman combined, a heroic life and the governing mind. A martyr for Ireland, his grave has no stone, his name seldom named and his virtues unknown. I was awoke from my dreams by the voice and the tread of a band that came into the home of the dead.
If you want a sort of a quick flavour of them, The Window Shakes the Barley would be their story in a nutshell. Although it's a fictional account, it is based on true events, and the fact of the matter is that the two brothers, Tom and Sean, they did fight against each other in the Civil War. Tom, he was arrested, as was Robert and William, or Liam. They all fought on the anti-treaty side, whereas Madge and Sean are on the pro-treaty side. And Sean himself then unfortunately was assassinated in December 1922. Tom, Liam and Robert also were arrested in the Civil War. So it's a family that actually does symbolise what a civil war is, brother against brother, a family torn down the middle, and then what happens to them after that. They were completely destroyed, like they lost everything in the whole bid to sacrifice to free the country. I suppose the thing that really got me teeth into writing the book The Hales Brothers and the Irish Revolution was the fact that when I started reading about Irish history, the Civil War, that's what I'm really interested in, they were in every book, every single book, but it was only like a paragraph on them. But what every historian would say, as in O'Neeson and Carlton Younger, all these great historians who wrote these books about Civil War, was that Sean and Tom, the Hales brothers, they were the symbol of the Civil War, as in brother against brother.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't get more than a paragraph on them. Liam Deasy's book, Brother Against Brother, which is amazing. They're in the narrative there. Meet Ryan, they're always in the background, but no one actually looked at their story. Peter Harte's book, The IRA and Its Enemies, he wrote a chapter on them, and I was thinking, yay, this is deadly, here they are. But he didn't sink his teeth into them. Now he's probably limited with space and stuff. So I started digging into them, and the more I discovered about them, I was thinking, how in God's name has a book not been written about them? And then I discovered that, well, the only way to actually do a book was to actually write it myself. So that's what spurred me on, and it was a long process, but I enjoyed every minute of 12 years reading and researching and finding out more and more and more about them. And I'm still finding out more stuff about them even after the book has been published. So, well, basically they are involved from 1916 right through to the War of Independence up to the Civil War. So they were a West Cork family from Ballinasea and Bandon. Tom, the younger brother, was OC of the Bandon Battalion, but actually during the War of Independence he's promoted to the OC, the commanding officer of the 3rd West Cork Brigade. We've got 3 Cork brigades from 1919 because it was such a massive area. But then you've got Sean. He becomes the captain of the Bandon Battalion. Then you've got Robert, another brother, Liam, another brother. Like, they're all involved. Their sister Madge, she's involved. Donal is in Genoa. He's the Republican consul over in Genoa. And Madge is going between Collins and Donal, trying to organise arms shipments and stuff coming between the two countries. She's also bringing propaganda over to Donal, and he's spreading the word in Italy as to what was happening in Ireland.
What's the significance of this building behind us, the National Concert Hall?
Well, the National Concert Hall was where the Dáil debates took place on the treaty in December 1921 through to January 1922.
Okay.
And it's in that building. There's photographs you see of Sean actually, getting off the Jarvie on his way in to attend the debates. And what is really, really amazing is that his accounts, his speeches are available. You can get them now online at theoireachtas.ie. Whereas they published the public statements, now you can get access to the private statements as well, which is really, really brilliant. So in that building, that's where Sean Hales put forward his argument as why he was going to accept the treaty. Now, if you look at what happened to Tom in the War of Independence, you'd be a bit surprised that the family, or Sean and Madge, did accept the treaty, considering what the family had gone through. Tom is brutally tortured with his quartermaster, Pat Harte, during July 1920. So again, comparing this to When the Shakes to Barley, the film, the torture scene, that's based on Tom's arrest and torture. Now what you see on screen is nothing compared to what was done to the two of them in real life. The Essex Regiment, they were a notorious regiment down in West Cork, serving with the Auxillaries as well, but they were under Mercier Press. And when they were arrested at Lara's farmhouse, they're taken into an outbuilding and they're stripped and they're beaten. When they're then taken from there to the barracks, they're interrogated separately. And you may know the famous photograph of Pat Harte holding the Union Jack.
Yes, yeah.
Tom Hales beside him. Well, Tom Hales was actually given that first, but he knew what it was, so he refused to hold the Union Jack up. Pat Harte, because he was so badly beaten, wasn't aware of what he was actually doing. They had straps tied around their necks, their hands were strapped together, they were beaten with canes. Tom lost 4 teeth. And what I did find when writing the book was Tom actually made a full, complete statement as to what had happened to them when they were being interrogated, and this was a propaganda, used as propaganda material for the American audience. Michael Collins insisted that they get the story down and get it out to show what's happening in Ireland. But I found the British response to it as well, where they say, he may have gotten, a punch in the face because, he called one of the soldiers in English bastard him, but when we saw him getting a punch, we stopped it. Then I found a doctor's report saying that they were terrible injuries that he had suffered.
They carried no coffin, they carried no stone, and they stopped when they came to the grave of Woolton. There were students and peasants, the wise and the brave, and an old man who knew him from cradle to grave. And the children who thought me hard-hearted when they on that sanctified sod were forbidden to play. Oh, but the old man who saw I was mourning there said, "We come, sir, to weep where young Woolton is laid. And we are going to raise him a monument to a plain one yet fit for the simple and true." My heart overflowed and I clasped his old hand. I blessed him and blessed everyone in his band. Sweet, sweet is to find that such faith can remain in the cause and the man so long vanquished and slain. On Bonestown churchyard there is a green grave, and wildly around it the wintry winds rave. Far better they suit him the boom and the gloom, until Ireland the nation might build him a tomb.
They were sent to prison in England for 2.5 years.
Sure.
And Captain Kelly, who was one of the interrogators, he actually went over to Pentonville and interrogated Pat Harte, and the whole story about Pat Harte having a nervous breakdown and so on. the further interrogations, I believe, contributed to him actually basically having a nervous breakdown. And all those files were there. But again, this is the first time they've actually been put into a book. Then you look at the fact that the family home is absolutely destroyed. It's burnt to the ground by the Crown forces. Madge Hales is there when this happens. She has an elderly mother, an elderly father. Liam and Robert and Sean are on the run during the War of Independence. So when the family go through all that, you think then how can Sean accept the treaty?
Yeah.
But the reason that he gives for actually why he accepts it is because, and this is in the private sessions of the Dáil debates, he says that history had proven that there were treaties signed between Britain and Ireland over the centuries, and every single time Britain stabbed Ireland in the back. Now it was their turn. Okay. So you sign it, you be good little boys and girls for a while, and as soon as they think that everything is sweet, then we strike. And that's why he does that. So he was a Republican. What he saw was, this is how far we get now, but then the journey is not over. The Republic is still the ultimate goal. Unfortunately, he doesn't get to realise that, because while he's on his way here to the Dáil on the 7th of December 1922, he's assassinated outside the Ormond Hotel by persons unknown. The Civil War is really is still a very painful period in our history to talk about. It's still a very emotive subject. And I think we really, really need to address this. And people have these arguments of whether they would have accepted a treaty. They were wrong to accept it, they were wrong to reject it. But at the end of the day, we were not in that position. And to judge them from our time today, I believe is wrong. And looking at a family, looking at brothers who actually fought on opposite sides and paid the ultimate sacrifice for their beliefs, it becomes very hard to judge those people. And to see it from a human level. And I think that's where we're going now with the history, is that we're looking at the people behind the events, which is really, really important. And hopefully it will be through understanding them that we can talk about those subjects. So I felt that was a story that wasn't told. As far as I recall, I can't think of any other book that actually focuses on two brothers who fought against each other in the Civil War. There's possibly maybe some local history books, but nothing sort of in the mainstream public. How can you judge whether, the two brothers are right or wrong to make their decisions? Because right until the end they believed that they were right. There were an awful lot of families that were split down the middle with this. And the stories are there. You just have to dig and find them, and then hopefully by starting small, by getting one or two of these stories out, maybe people will be a bit more comfortable in opening up and saying, yeah, look, my family, we're split down the middle, and I never knew, that there was this half of the family because of the Civil War divide. It's 100 years on. If they've been forgotten, that part of their life has been forgotten for the last 100 years, but we need to remember it. It will be very, very painful, but we have to tell those stories because they did believe that they were doing the right thing.
What's the reaction been to your book?
Oh, it's been absolutely fabulous. It really has, especially down in Cork, and Jacqueline writing about a Cork family. They have just been absolutely amazing, and the Hales family themselves has been fantastic. They gave me access to great photographs. They actually showed me the house. The farmhouse is still there, so you're standing on the farm, the yard where Sean and Liam and Robert and all grew up. And there's a great story in the War of Independence, because Sean was one of the most wanted men in West Cork. Like the Essex Regiment had a song about him, and like he's like fierce and so on. But they were coming looking for him. They raided the house. They were aware that the house could be raided, so Tom, Liam and Robert stayed in the neighbour's house, but Sean was like, no, I'm staying here. And his sister Madge and his cousin Hannah were in the house as well. So the raid comes, RIC, the Crown forces are there, and in the confusion they storm into the house. Sean's asleep, he's like 16 stone, he's a huge, huge man, and the sisters wake up. Madge wakes up, and in the confusion she gets word to her younger cousin to get out, get away, get to Tom in the neighbour's house and get back. So word is sent. What happens is that while there's like a big fight in the house between Sean and all the RAC, Madge tells them the IRA are coming, they're going to surround the house, and Tom, Liam, Robert and two other mates, the O'Donohues, Mick, there's the O'Donohues or the Flynns, they come across the hills, but there's only 5 of them.
Okay.
So what they do is they spread out along the field and start shouting to each other.
Okay.
So what looks like it's an army that's coming for Sean or to the RIC. So Madge tells them that the house is completely surrounded by hundreds of volunteers. It's only 5 of them, but you've 2 RIC men that basically surrender their arms, say we're not doing this, resign on the spot, and it gives time for Sean to actually get away. And in the description in the witness statement, like the last thing Madge sees him is him just running across the fields, like, just to free them. So you have all that, but you're standing in their house where this happened, looking at the fields that like you ran across, So that was what the family gave me. And then what was brilliant is that by talking to Tom's daughter Eileen and Tom's son Sean, they gave me Tom, as in they showed me who Tom was as the father, as the man. You get the military person from the witness statements and so on, but they actually showed me who he was as the father, as a grandfather, and then again that totally clouds the whole thing. It humanises it, exactly. And the pension files, in the National Archives there's some pension files, as in the discussions between the pension board and Tom Hales and Tom Barry. They're verifying the service of fellas that were being torn down for the pension, and you have these arguments going backwards and forwards between Tom Hales and Tom Barry, because the 2 commanding officers, Tom of the Tour de West Cork Brigade and Tom Barry of the flying column of the Tour de West Cork Brigade, and they're saying what constitutes a guy having active service, and they're like, well, he actually took part in an ambush, and they're saying, well, was I meant to go around counting all the bullets when the ambush is going on? And they're like, and they're like, my word should be good enough, I'm verifying for this man. So all of that was there. And then I found some interesting stuff that Peter Harte did look at, but didn't put into the book as well. So thankfully I was able to put that in, and they're all in the appendices of the book.
If you wanted somebody to take one thing out of your book, what would it be?
It's a story of a family that were completely destroyed, that gave up everything for the freedom of their country, and you can't say that they were just talkers or they were, bully boys or anything. This family were on the ground with their men, leading their men. Their home, as I said, was destroyed. Their father had a nervous breakdown because of what happened throughout the War of Independence, watching his home being raided time and time again. When it comes to the Civil War, you have Tom, Robert, Liam living a life on the run, being arrested.
So he would have been in the same group as Sonny
O'Neill and all,
Jesus.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you read Liam Deasy's Brother Against Brother, it's a great account of it. Dev was down there. He had a meeting with Liam Lynch, and Liam Lynch is asking him to call off everything. They get word to Liam Lynch that Collins is around, and tells basically Tom Hales set up an ambush. And the whole thing is then that De Valera is asking, what happens if he does come back by that position, and there will be an ambush. So the whole thing is in place. There's a mine laid across the road, and Tom Hales is overseeing this, but they wait. Collins, as you know, is driving around all the West Cork. One of the things though, and this is where you have the whole interconnection between Tom, Sean and the Civil War, the whole complexity of the Civil War, is that while Tom is laying in wait to attack Collins, Sean has his headquarters in the Munster Arms Hotel, which is still there today. That's his headquarters in Bandon, so their hometown. Collins visits Sean in the Munster Arms Hotel, they're inquiring as to how things are going. He then leaves. He's one of the last people to see Collins before he sets out towards Bend and Blow. Sean warns him that's dangerous, that they shouldn't go that way. Collins doesn't listen, and as it's getting dark or the day is going on, Tom then decides to call off the ambush. So they dismantle the mine. But then the Collins convoy comes across, and then we have the ambush taking place. So you've got one brother, Sean, saying don't go there, it could be dangerous, and you've got the other brother waiting to actually take part in the ambush. And then with Liam Deasy's book, Brother Against Brother, what he says is that they knew that someone was killed, they didn't know who it was. And when it's over, they disperse into different groups and go to different places. and you have a girl runs into the farmhouse where Liam Deasy and Tom Hales are, and she says it's Collins that's killed, and you have the younger fellas going, yay, this is great, and it's all like, jubilant and all, and then he says the older men, as in Tom and Liam Deasy, Tom just puts his hands on his head and just shows that now whatever chance they had, that is now gone with the death of Collins, because what was coming after, and it has been proven, Collins was a buffer, but what was coming down the line now, they wouldn't be able to stop it, and it just descends. Sean, who is investigating the death of Michael Collins, because Tom had actually been the commanding officer that was in charge of the ambush party at Bail na Blah, was waiting for the Collins convoy, but Sean believed that something was not right with the accounts that were given, and that's why he's investigating the death of Collins, and he's asking for the Dáil to have a proper full inquiry investigation done into Collins' death, but he never gets that chance, because while he's leaving the Ormond Hotel with his friend Pádraig O'Malley, who was the last Count Corla, and he would have been in a position to put forward the motion for an investigation. You have two members of the anti-treaty IRA come out of Arran Street, just around the corner from the Ormond Hotel. They open fire. Sean Hales is hit full force on the Jarvey, and before he gets down to Jervis Street Hospital, which is literally a 2-minute run, he's dead.
Oh, in Bodenstown churchyard there is a green grave, and wildly around it the wintry winds rain. Small shelter I ween are the ruin walls there, when the storm sweeps over the plains of Kildare. Once I lay on that sod it lies over Wootone, and thought that we perished in prison alone. His friends are revenge and his country unfree, oh bitter I cried is a patriot's me. How in him the heart of a woman combined, a heroic life and a governing mind. A martyr for Ireland, his grave has no stone, his name seldom named and his virtues unknown.